What is up, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of New Tales Retold. And today, Loki, episode 2. So, big spoilers ahead if you haven't seen it. Give you 10 seconds to click off if you haven't seen it while I look at my note. Okay, wasn't 10 seconds, but you had time. Now, uh, yeah, this was a slower episode. I feel like we didn't get too much.
I feel like
Right?
both episodes have been slow. Not
Yeah.
much has happened yet.
So we've gotten an hour of like something that could have been done in way less.
Yeah, I feel like, yeah, I feel like in like kind of a the important parts have happened, yet it doesn't feel like much.
Yeah.
Feels like. Then again, how many episodes are in this season?
It's funny because I was asked that yesterday. I believe it's 6.
6. That's
Yeah.
it. Okay, it makes
Mhm.
sense. Second episode, we've already encountered the villain. Okay,
Mhm.
but I don't know. Still, like out of all that happened, it still feels like nothing happened.
Yeah. Right. Like, they give you like little big moments, like in the beginning, opening. What was it? Miss Minutes. Loki sitting at his own desk.
Yeah.
What it seems like, sitting at his own desk.
No, I think that was
No?
Mobius's.
Okay. Because I was like, shit, they're about to try to make him. They're about to try to make him a TVA agent. That wouldn't work, but with Miss Minutes, they start off with a big mystery right in the beginning of Loki questioning what she is,
Yeah.
and her saying, what was it? He said, "Are you a recording or are you alive?"
She said
Right?
a
And
bit
she
of
said a
both.
little bit of both. It was like, whoa, what do you mean? And then he tries swinging at her a couple times, and she literally dodges his hits, and
Yeah.
you can hear.
Tells him to stop it.
Yeah. You can hear her movement, her interacting with everything on the desk and everything, and then even jumps into the screen. I was
Yeah.
like, we're watching some Looney Tunes. What was it? Uh, like
Who Framed Roger
yeah, there you go. That's what I was thinking about. That was the movie in my head. I'm like, yo, this is cool. Marvel's really testing. First with WandaVision and doing different time periods,
Yeah.
and now they doing stuff like this. That's pretty dope.
It's cool. Like, yeah, they're doing the little CGI stuff that they're trying to mess with and the little effects that they can
Yeah.
now do because of modern day technology.
Yeah,
It's really
for
cool
real.
to see.
That
It's
shit
really
is
cool to
fire.
see.
But it's funny though that they gave us that little scene of Loki and her, because I believe it was the last episode when they showed us the statues, the elevator scene. You see the 3 statues of the timekeepers, and when they get to the ground level, there's also a statue of Miss Minutes, like down at the bottom level.
Yeah, I remember that.
So it's like she has to be important if she has a statue. They have a whole statue dedicated to her. What is she?
What if
and-
she's a timekeeper?
See, that was my first theory, right? Because we were reading about a 4th timekeeper on the comics that wasn't as, I guess,
Yeah.
important as the other 3. And apparently just seemed what was weaker from what I was reading. He just wasn't at the, he can see through time, but he couldn't travel like they could. So which would be cool, if she was the 4th, and like
Yeah.
they just kept her on the low and maybe just kept her as like kind of a prisoner in a way. Like you're gonna take care of the TVA, like go over there and do that. Like kind of like you get the crappy job in a way, I guess.
When we get to this later, I have something I do want to say. When we get into later, talk about later in the episode.
Okay.
That's something they mentioned later.
Okay. But yeah, it's that. Or I had another theory of what if she, because comics start doing like really weird cosmic shit.
Mm-hmm.
What if she is time?
It makes sense, Miss Minutes.
And then somehow, what if that's who the Loki's after? Or maybe after I want Miss Minutes needs to go. Imagine that. That'll cause a multiverse of madness if you killed Miss Minutes and she was time.
Like the physical personification of
Yes.
time.
Yeah, that'd be pretty wild. But then again, for all we know, she's probably like Ultron. It's a really highly advanced
Yeah.
AI. Or maybe even like Jarvis, where it's like she's aware but doesn't necessarily
Yeah.
make the rules, or it has like full say in what happens. But she's awesome. Definitely,
She's
yo.
funny.
I just thought about this. It has nothing to do with the show, But if they come out with a Funko Pop of Miss Minutes, I want it.
Or a hot
10 inch, a 10 inch, that'd be cool.
Or a hot toy.
Or a hot toy, but hot toys are expensive, man. It's
You
like
can do like Groot size.
$200-$300. Right, Miss Minutes. I would have to get Groot again. I got rid of Groot. I would have to get Groot again if I get Miss Minutes.
Baby Groot.
Yeah, Groot is awesome. Damn, you make me want more Groot again. Yeah.
Mobius loves jet skis, bro.
Yes, he does in that scene. He loves jet skis, and it's pretty cool because, yeah, right. Because that was, oh my god, I just dropping my iPad, lordy. Yeah, that must have been his desk because he walks up. Mobius
Yeah.
walks up. He's looking at the jet skis.
He's like, "Why are you looking at my magazine?" He's
Yeah.
like, "Why do you have this?"
It's like, right.
He's like, "I like jet skis."
Which it's cool. It's like, and he mentions he's in the scene. I don't have to talk about that specific scene. I just want to talk about that one line when he's like, "Why don't you just ride a jet ski?" And he's like, "I don't want to cause any issue with time." Would that really cause an issue with time if he just snuck himself to fucking ride a jet ski somewhere?
Him
He-
getting caught.
He can steal a random jet ski from an abandoned place somewhere and just take it to a planet that has water and there's
Where
no
are you gonna
people.
find a working jet ski in an
You-
abandoned place?
Bro, they're the TVA. They can make it happen. They're supposed to be all powerful, as they say, right?
They never said they were all powerful.
Well, they carry themselves like they're all powerful.
They do carry themselves that way.
But pretty cool in that scene they gave us, because I think I asked this question last episode, and obviously we couldn't figure out an answer. What a red line event is, and it's pretty cool. Not cool it happening, but the idea of it. It's I'm sorry, I had to relook at my note. Redlining is a Nexus event that pretty much can't be undone,
Yeah.
and it had me think about Wanda's Nexus event. Like, I keep thinking about that, like TVA and like Nexus, and they're like really heavy and all this.
Okay, so besides the whole time thing, where of course they're the timekeepers, they can go at any point in time. WandaVision technically happened later.
Because this is happening immediately after Endgame.
Endgame, yeah.
Whereas WandaVision was
Was
6 months.
Yeah, it's a few months
after.
after Endgame. So it's kind of like when Loki grabbed that and went to the TVA. During modern timeline, like WandaVision hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
Maybe later on they're gonna maybe something happens to the TVA in this season.
Yeah. That's
That-
what I was thinking too, because it was so hard for them to pull off making the TVA work in the comics, and it's
Yeah.
really making me question how the hell are they gonna make the TVA work in the MCU? Because the whole idea with time travel, and it can get confusing if you go too far into it.
Yeah, I can kind of see why they're trying to create this sacred timeline, the one timeline that they have to follow,
Yeah.
so they don't have to do this whole jumping from timeline
Yeah,
to timeline anymore.
exactly. It's like it'll get confusing.
But so because it'd be interesting because it seems that the TVA doesn't only dealing with time. The TVA seems to be like a department in this big organization. Because remember, he was like, "What is this, a nightmare?" He's like, "No, that's a different department."
He
So
said
maybe
that.
the
I hope
TVA
you
is just
brought-
a branch for this, like pretty much these groups of people that kind of protect maybe the
Yeah.
Sorcerer Supreme.
It's funny that you
There's
said that
another one.
because in the
another part.
comics, I'm sorry, I got bit by a mosquito. I think it's so itchy. In the comics, the TVA were created by, I'm forgetting his name, but he created he was the last pretty much, what do you call that, leader of the TVA, and then apparently he created the Timekeepers. It gets really confusing, like because then it starts talking about how later on something happens with that timeline being split in two, where the timekeepers are alive in one timeline and they're dead in another. It gets super fucking confusing. But I'm sorry, where were we going with that?
I have
Shit.
no idea where you were going with that.
Cause no, I was bouncing off what you said.
The
Oh,
different
nightmare.
departments.
he resided in, oh my god, the Citadel at the end of time or something like that. So it would make sense if they're at the Citadel at the end of time, and then in the Citadel you have the TVA and this and that and
Yeah.
yeah,
So it's like it would make sense that destroying the TVA, you would have to destroy everything,
yeah,
like all of it, not just that one branch, but everything together, which would cause the people who protect against Nightmare to disappear. Now nobody's going to defend against Nightmare, which will then cause a multiverse of madness, because all Nightmare is like pretty much a demon, like a bunch of other ones that have their own pocket dimensions.
yeah,
Imagine the people who protect against all of that are now gone. They're gonna all start coming through,
yeah,
and now Doctor Strange has to take over,
and be
undoing
the
their
TVA
job. Yeah,
and be them. Yeah, the Sorcerer Supreme. It would make sense too, cause his kind of reboot comic in was it
yeah,
2018 kind of gave that like he's now it's more than Earth, especially when
yeah.
it comes to
Because
magic.
in the old comic books, he was the Sorcerer Supreme, but of Earth.
You
So
know
it was
what's
like
funny?
he protected Earth's reality, not all of
Exactly,
reality.
because in the comic, in this comic, the person he's with is like, you're the sort. That's exactly what she says. You're the Sorcerer Supreme of Earth. Like you need to find other Sorcerer Supremes
Yeah,
and expand
yeah,
your knowledge and
exactly.
expand.
So that'll make sense. Like now, at this point, all he's thinking about is Earth. No, he needs something to kind of show, like in the new comics, that there's beyond Earth. That you have to protect all of reality, not just Earth's reality.
Yeah, because other if somewhere else reality is altered, it could end up affecting Earth. You get some asshole
For
somewhere different.
example, Nightmare's reality being affected, him coming.
Yeah,
What's the best place to get for him to feed?
yeah,
Earth.
Earth. Yo, that would be good. Nightmare. It would lead up to right. It's like you just see this guy on the throne in a big courtroom
Yeah.
instead of this chick.
It would make a lot of sense, because that's how he could probably be drawn by Wanda, trying to get her kids. That draws Nightmare to Earth. That's how Wanda and Strange gets involved in their movie together. That would
Yeah,
make
Wanda.
sense.
I can't wait to see what's gonna happen with her.
Because they already confirmed, right? This sets up everything.
Yeah, apparently
afterwards.
this is gonna have the biggest impact in the MCU.
Yeah, like
Which it having impact. Did we mention Kang possibly being the fourth timekeeper?
not yet.
But
Yeah,
yeah, I
the fourth
wanna jump to that really quick because we mentioned a fourth timekeeper, Miss Minutes possibly being the fourth. But a cooler idea would be Kang possibly being the fourth.
Yeah.
It would make sense since he travels through time the way he does throughout the comics, and it would make sense for him to be exiled because he's probably just an asshole and has his own agenda.
Yeah.
And they're like, kick this guy out the way.
Creating the TVA,
Mm-hmm.
and then he wanted to use it for his own thing, and they're like, no,
Exactly.
we can't do this.
And
So they kick him out.
Excuse me, TVA's greatest enemy ends up being Kang.
Yeah.
But now they gotta worry about assholes like Loki and then people like Scarlet Witch who
Yeah.
are also causing Nexus events throughout the time,
Yeah.
the timeline and stuff.
So after that whole
Mm-hmm.
conversation with Mobius, they go to set out on their mission. They went to that like 19 something.
Oh, when they went to that fair where they're supposed to dress up like
the
colonial times.
The medieval fair,
Like the
fair,
medieval,
yeah,
there you go, yeah.
medieval fair, yeah. So while they're talking about Lokis, all the different Lokis in different timelines.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is weird, because they talk about the sacred timeline, but then talk about different timelines.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I thought they were gonna do something like kind of separating multiverses and timelines, trying to make them two different things, but then they keep kind of interchanging them,
Yeah.
calling them both the same thing in a way. So it's really confusing.
Yeah, that's literally what they do in the comics too.
Yeah, it's
They
really
use two different words to explain the same thing.
but it's just like at the same time they try to create a difference between them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, what do you guys want to do? Do you want them to be the same thing, or
It's
do you want
funny.
them to be different?
So
Like which?
this actually probably helps with the show a bit, but in the comic I was reading recently, Infinity Countdown, it was Captain
Mhm.
Marvel's, and she was holding a reality stone, and it showed every Captain Marvel from every universe had the Reality Stone, and they were all safeguarding it. And because of they had the Reality Stone, they can communicate with each other and see each other's past, present, and future.
Okay.
Obviously, that can get tricky if you're not mentally strong enough to
Yeah.
wield that power. Um, but she's in a fight. It's a newer comic, so I don't know if anyone's read it, so I'm not gonna go into detail. But she's in a fight. She don't know what to do with the individual. She don't know what the outcome will be. Is she gonna hurt people on the ground? She don't want to necessarily kill him. She wants to take him into jail. So she's in this battle, and it turned out that every single Captain Marvel has had that fight with that individual. Even though it's a different person who's Captain Marvel, they've all had that same fight and all had made different decisions. And she didn't know what decision would be best because they've all made different decisions with different outcomes.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe that'll help. Maybe that's the idea. If they're meant to all go through and do the same thing,
That's what I'm
even
saying.
though it can be different people.
That would be separating a multiverse from a timeline. They all follow the same timeline. They all go through the same events, but there's different universes,
Yes.
a multiverse with
Yes.
different versions of themselves.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. If I remember correctly, they called all those different variants of Loki's from different timelines. So that's confusing. That's what kind of
That is
confused
kind
me.
of confusing.
So it's like they're not from different universes; they're from different timelines. But I thought that was one timeline, the sacred timeline.
Yeah. Right? We gotta sit down and really figure. That is weird. It's confusing. Now I'm just confused.
Yeah, because they
I
started
thought
this
I made sense of it.
explanation in Infinity War with Endgame. The the
The ancient
Source ancient one that I was going to call her Supreme one.
one.
Supreme, wearing all Supreme, that'd be funny. Yeah, the ancient one. She's started off trying to explain it. There's just one timeline. If you try to pluck the stone out of it, it's gonna create a branch. But as long as you put it back to where it is, it's gonna fix it. It was a simple explanation. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
whatever. But now it's just like they're trying to go in depth, and I feel like they shouldn't.
Because going in depth is where things don't make sense because time travel, at least as far as we know, is not real. So it's like,
Yeah. But there's always going to be contradictions, things that don't make sense.
yeah.
So it's like the further you try to explain it, the more it's not going to make sense.
I think just before they reach their peak of explaining it, they'll figure out a way to just tear it all down.
Well, that's probably what they're planning on doing
Mm-hmm.
with this series. They like the stuff that's happening in here.
For all we know, it's all bullshit.
Yeah, that they're
And
just
it's
going
what
to get
the
rid of.
TVA was being fed all that.
Yeah. Not even that. Like, or for all we know, this is all pointless. We're learning all of this for them to just get rid of it by the end of the show.
Yeah, and like wrapping our heads trying to figure it
Yeah.
out, and then they're just like, we're gonna tear it all down because it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
That would be cool. Turns out the timekeepers are bad, or they have their own agenda, or like Loki hints at it. He says one thing he's learned when he's having his conversation with Mobius. He was like, "You called me a child, but I do know one thing children don't know: bad men are not truly bad, and good men are not truly good."
Yeah.
So it's like giving us. It's like the person that wrote this shit is giving us a hint that the people that started the TVA aren't the same. What was it? God, Batman v Superman line. If God is all powerful, he's not all good, and if he's all good, he's not all powerful.
Yeah. Well, it would make sense. Think about it. Look what the TVA do. Is it really good for you to be going to universes? Also, this doesn't follow what we want to destroy it.
Yeah, when Loki said that, it made me think. So they literally just kill all the people.
Yes, they erase the entire timeline if they can't fix it.
That's crazy, and that one little thing does that.
Good.
That one little bottle. That's weird, right?
Yeah, it's probably particles from the quantum realm.
Right, that would be cool because we're
That'd
gonna
be
see
real.
Kang in Quantumania. So imagine that that happened to Kang and then he just went into the
Yeah.
quantum. That'd be cool.
Another thing about that little conversation that they had, it was when they were talking about that Mobius and Loki. He talks about like Loki doesn't believe most of what Mobius
Yeah,
is
yeah,
telling
because
him.
he's like, this all sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, and then Mobius is like, but look at who you are. Like he explained to him very simply, kind of dumbly,
Mm-hmm.
explains who Loki is and what he follows, and he's a magical person from this god realm,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like it sounds ridiculous, and and Mobius kind of says it's real because I believe it's real, something like that.
Yeah, like it's my reality.
Yeah,
So
it's I it makes me kind of question whether they're trying to kind of make Loki seem more human, like a humans thought you weren't real, and there's this big thing above you, you don't even believe it.
and they keep
Or
questioning his ability as a
are they
god.
trying to hint that, like you said, none of it being real and everything is a lie by the timekeepers,
Yeah,
and it's just
like
Mobius believes it's real.
Maybe Loki is as powerful as them, and they just they give this
It's
illusion
just
that
it's
they're
really
just
hard
like
to beat someone who fucks with time.
no, that's what I'm saying. But maybe they're not truly making the decisions.
No, I'm saying yeah, but
You
look at
know?
the technology they have though. But
Yeah.
it'll really be hard to beat someone who
Yeah.
controls time.
I know. I just wanted the Loki back to his potential, man. They
I
gotta
do
stop
too. They're kind of showing it a
getting
little bit, teaching them
slapped
about
around.
magic, showing his knowledge at least. He
Yeah.
finally spoke another language.
Well, teaching them about magic, he
Yeah.
explains to them, which I'm sure you will remember this. I don't remember this in detail. He explains the
Oh.
difference between duplication casting and illusion projection, which I feel like was very important.
So duplication casting, this either it might be a vice versa. I know one or the other.
I'm pretty sure you'll get it right. Go
But
ahead.
duplication casting, if I'm not mistaken, was him taking literal matter
Yes,
and
you're getting it
particles,
right. Mhm.
creating another physical manifestation of himself, while illusion projection is kind of, I would,
Projection, like
like manipulating the light around
Yeah.
him in a way that it makes him look like someone else. So
Yeah.
that's the difference between. That's what he was trying to say. The difference
Mhm.
between them, which is
like
funny.
his version of it he can actually hurt you and touch you and physically do shit.
But it also makes me question his knowledge in magic, because he didn't seem too surprised at the other Loki taking over all those people.
He was like, yeah, he was a little impressed. He was like, as if like that's not an easy feat.
It's not, because he
Like-
needed the scepter to do
Mhm.
it in Avengers. He couldn't
Yeah,
do
she
it
did
on his
some
own.
like Scarlet Witch shit. And
Yeah.
was just like,
Exactly. She used magic. He used a stone.
it's pretty cool that you say that too, because it's so weird how I read these random comics and then they end up start like fitting into what we watch. Because in that same Doctor Strange comic, they're locked in a cell. She quickly creates something out of like the tools, and then boom, the door just like disintegrates open. And he's like, "Oh, you just did X and Y spell. I don't remember the name without this tool." And she's like, "Yeah, you just put these things together." And he's just like, "Whoa, like, so magic isn't just, I guess."
Do the spell.
Mystical items and saying these words, like technology can
Yeah.
also do what magic does. So it's pretty cool. So I guess we're
They
seeing
kind of
seeing
showed that with the weapons. That
Yeah,
the
in Doctor Strange. What was
that
it?
the TVA use. Look at what they're doing. They're doing stuff the stones did, disintegrating people.
Yeah, orange was the Soul Stone.
Yeah, but it was the power
Purple
stone.
was the Power
It was
Stone
the power stone that did that though.
that disintegrated.
Disintegrated people. Yeah.
Okay. Because I was thinking when she knocked him out in slow mo. See, if her staff was green in that moment,
Maybe
that
she
would
was
have been
messing with time.
fucking
yeah, that they were
huge.
using stones. Like, they wanted to make the stones useless.
Yeah, true. I know, it's disappointing.
It would have been cooler if just they had mad different stones that they were able to use in any timeline. That's
Yeah,
how
that would
powerful
have
they were.
been crazy. That would have been wild. But I want to talk about the scene when Mobius was talking to I wrote her name. Oh my god, I didn't write her name.
Slayer.
Yes, talking to Slayer. And she's questioning his decisions, working with Loki, and they talk about the rim. He goes to put his glass down, and she's like,
yes.
and he keeps making these jokes about this other agent that, like, that she's really close with and works with. Like, it 100% has to be him. In the comics, he was there were many of him. He was cloned, like
Mhm.
there was many versions of him, and then hinting at having that moment of like, because she even tells him you did that. He clearly don't remember doing that. And then having Loki question everything, like, bro, like, are you sure? Are you sure everything is what it is? And it's like even Loki has a feeling that something's off.
Right? Maybe Loki does have a feeling that something's wrong because every Mobius he speaks to is a different Mobius.
You see, that would be fucking cool, man. That would be crazy. That would be wild.
Every Mobius he speaks to. That's why Mobius is always so conveniently around.
Yeah, that would be. Oh man, that would be insane. And none of them know it.
Yeah.
And it would truly, and
But, like,
it would
it-
change his
It would
perspective
be
on the
cra-
TVA.
Yeah, it would change his perspective on the TVA.
And I think that's the character development we're going to see with Mobius, because he's so like he believes so like he believes so much in the TVA and what they do. Not really believe. He said he doesn't really believe. He accepts what is.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like you can tell it's a little bit of belief. It's just like what we're doing is right.
Yeah.
You know, like, so it's like, I don't know. What were you gonna say? I can tell you have a thought.
Oh no.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would. Oh man. And then it would be cool because it would be cool to keep him around. It would be cool to keep him as like some grounded like helper like
Yeah.
of Loki. Like, you know, Loki needs to turn to once
Or
in
the
a
one
while.
who's leading the fight against Kang.
Right? That would be so epic. Or he takes over the TVA. Fucking Mobius. That would be great.
Mr. Anderson. And a bunch of him.
Right? It's so funny that you say that too, because I think I was telling you yesterday, Captain, in one of the versions in the Infinity Countdown in Captain Marvel's, I think it was the Spectrum version. Created multiple versions of herself from a millisecond into the future, and literally created the Captain Marvel core. It was like a bunch of them. Wild. Oh man. But yeah, Mobius is awesome.
Another thing I wanted to mention. So when he's going searching through and everything, trying to, what it seems like he originally he was just trying to pass the time, until
Mhm.
Mobius came back, but he ended up breaking through, finding out where the Loki was hiding.
Oh yeah, when he was looking through
I find it kind of weird because it just took him opening. Though they're trying to show how much like he's a lot smarter and knows himself a lot better than everybody else in the TVA. But it's just like, I don't know. He was like, oh look, right here, the Loki was here, and there was no energy. Oh, and he put two and two together with the events happening, things getting wiped out, and there being no Nexus energy. Why hasn't any other person put that together?
or Mobius himself, right?
Like, you would have thought time runs differently in the TVA. So that means how much time did they spend looking at all those files? They should have looked through them thousands of times already. They should have noticed it by now.
Maybe that was. It's funny because in the scene where he's talking, where Mobius is talking to Slayer, and he was like, "Look, Loki pointed out a hole in our security. Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of a good thing because now we see that, I guess that falls into that category. Loki is showing all the imperfections
Yeah.
of the TVA, because that's true. How didn't you notice that?
Yeah.
Just because it's an apocalyptic event, and to catch the bad guy, you need to think like the bad guy. It's the
Yeah.
perfect place to hide, because everything's gonna get destroyed. And then if you're stealing the reset charges, you could let us just keep living in the same apocalyptic event over and over, and
You will never notice.
And then on top of that, if it's never been noticed, are the timekeepers really paying attention?
Yeah.
It's like if they're
they said the time
controlling
they-
everyone's, pretty much, if they're controlling in a sense everything that happens for everyone, how don't they know where you are?
She said the timekeepers are watching this case closely, like personally.
Yeah, so it's like, help then. Like, it goes to show that they're really not in,
Maybe they can't do anything.
right? Because it'll create a
No,
Nexus event.
that or they themselves are probably what keep the sacred timeline intact.
So if they
If they die or anything happens to them, it'll break it. which is probably why the Loki is looking for them.
But that's the thing. Didn't she say she didn't want to destroy the TVA?
She didn't want to control the TVA. She wanted to destroy the TVA. Main Loki, the main character Loki, wants to take over. She wants to destroy it.
Okay.
So
interesting.
And it's funny because speaking of which, that whole part where they're inside that the other timeline during the natural disaster looking for her, they find the other Minuteman. That's like, oh my god, I told them. One thing I'm a little curious. She was saying it's real. It was real. It's real. It was real. She kept repeating that. What was real? What's real?
The Scarlet Witch. Oh, I don't know.
Like it's weird. Like she keeps saying
she
that.
kept saying that, and then said I gave them the location of where to find the timekeepers.
But before we even get to that, like she said that these people travel through time. They've probably seen everything.
Right?
There's
what's the
something
mystery?
she didn't think was real that was shown to her that is real. It's weird. Like what is it? Something that they didn't believe to be real that is. What is it that they don't know? And you would think the time cops would know everything.
Yeah, right? Ooh.
And also,
my God,
she said she revealed how to find the timekeepers, how to get to them. I wonder if that's Miss Minutes.
Her?
If Miss Minutes is the key to getting to the timekeepers.
Huh. That would be very
Obviously,
cool.
getting to them involved bombing the sacred timeline. Or maybe that's just a distraction to get them off of her.
Okay. I'm not going to lie. I've been trying to make sense of it. So, first of all, yes. Our theory was true about this being the female Loki.
Yeah.
Her placing all the reset charges, right? How? Okay, so that's an apocalyptic event, right? If you put that reset charge there, from the way they explained it before, at her being able to do that and relive the same apocalyptic event, it would just reset that event
That
there,
specific
right?
timeline.
How does dropping multiple affect? You get what I mean? It's still within that time. It's still physically there.
So that little door they're opening opens different timelines. So all those little portals you see them going into was going to different timelines, different places, different moments in time, destroying all those moments in time in random times, creating all those branches.
Wow, she really messed everything up. And I'm glad that they said this isn't gonna affect the MCU heavy. Because if this is truly affecting the sacred timeline and the timeline of the MCU, I swear, if there's no acknowledgement of it in future movies, it's gonna make no sense. Because it's like I understand the idea of every show and every movie is its own thing.
Yeah.
But if you have a moment, let's say WandaVision, huge, right? Created a Nexus event, altered a whole town and mind controlled them, that whole thing. Now, if in the next movie or show that takes place after that, if everything's normal and it's like whatever, it wouldn't make sense. You know what I mean?
Another thing that doesn't make sense, if Falcon and the Winter Soldier happened before WandaVision, where was Falcon?
Yeah, where was Captain America?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I completely forgot. Yeah, where was Captain America? I just remembered that.
Captain America, who fought beside this woman.
Yes. Like, where was he? Why didn't he? Like, the moment they found, unless Sword kept it that much of a secret,
but Wu was there.
You would have known the moment he would have heard Wanda, he should have flew there.
Yeah.
Literally.
It's the Avengers, man. They all fought like oh yeah. Man.
Like,
it's bugging me out. And if this is supposed to have as big of a bigger impact, like the things that happen in this show need to be acknowledged.
And I hope in Multiverse of Madness they explain where Strange was during all of that.
Yeah. How does Doctor Strange, the Sorcerer Supreme, the protector of reality on Earth, not notice a Nexus event happening on Earth?
Those are three groups right now. What were they doing during WandaVision? You have the TVA, you have Captain America and you have Doctor Strange. What were they doing?
Right, like
During
no one
that.
knew this was happening. This was that top secret that no one else other
And
than who was in the
and
show.
like you said, Wu was there, so it wasn't that top secret. The FBI knew.
Yeah, which compared to the
All
Marvel's
these
other
fake
organizations,
they know so
yeah,
much more.
Nick Fury is apparently like old as shit, and
Knows everything.
you know, like
Does he still have the powers of Uatu?
I'm sure he doesn't
Okay.
now with the fresh start and everything. But yeah, I don't know. Okay, so that makes sense. So she bombed different moments of
Yeah.
it. So what do you think Loki's up to? Because honestly, I have a feeling. I don't think he's turning on Mobius.
No,
not the
Mobius,
TVA.
not
I could see him turning on the TVA.
Not Mobius specifically.
Yeah, I don't see. And I remember you said you had a theory on when we were watching. We had watched the trailer, and you had a theory that before we saw this episode, which honestly, this episode kind of helps your theory more. You had a theory that Loki was gonna do something, not like against the TVA rules, but still to help. They're gonna arrest Mobius because now his last chance.
And
Loki
then,
did that,
yeah, in the trailer
and
we see him
Loki's
with
gonna.
the knives in the TVA.
Yeah,
he's gonna go break Mobius out
That would be cool.
because he needs Mobius's help.
Yeah, and that's also that's his friend. He can't deny it. That's his
Yeah.
friend.
I'm gonna call them friends yet.
But we don't know how much time passes differently. Who knows how much time they spent together?
That's true, but it's still, if it's a different Mobius, he hasn't.
True. And it makes sense because when he leaves the office, he's like, "Oh, I'll just give it to him myself," without telling Slayer, "Don't worry, I'll give it to him myself," and then leave the office. That would be trippy if we have a scene of just a bunch of Owen Wilsons. All we need is for all of them to go, "Wow."
Wow. I don't know. It's hard to say what Loki is doing because they can do a lot. Then again, they don't want to. They shouldn't want to fuck anything up any more than they're doing with time already.
Yeah, because it's gonna get confusing.
But
sorry about that.
it would be interesting. That like I have a feeling he's not gonna work with this Loki. She doesn't seem interested at all with working with him.
You think so?
Yeah, like it seems like she kind of tested him during all that.
Yeah.
Then again, she did leave the portal open for him to go in behind her.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. She waves by at him and then leaves it open, or unless she was weaving by at the TVA.
It's weird, but the way Loki looked back, he looked back like, "I'm sorry."
Like I have to, because if I keep playing by your rules, nothing's ever gonna get done.
And I feel like the reason why that has to be because I feel like now he realized she is the superior Loki.
Yeah. Yeah, like the shit she's accomplished, he probably would have never. He didn't even know who the hell the TVA were, and she was a problem with the TVA before he showed up there.
Yeah.
So that's a big deal.
It'd be really interesting. How would you feel if you found out she works for Kang?
It wouldn't be surprising if Kang is definitely a big villain toward them.
It'd be very disappointing if Kang isn't even mentioned.
Right,
in this
at all.
Some
or at least a picture, something.
What is it? Sinestro? No, not Sinestro. Mephisto type thing.
Yeah, right.
He completely forgot her. He's for Ant-Man. Leave him. We didn't.
He
completely not mention him.
We hinted at him so much, but we don't even know who he is. Like what? But yeah, it was a short episode, not too much. More questions and answers. Obviously, we're gonna get that. I think up until close to the end. But let us know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below. What you guys think of this episode? Do you see Loki fully going to his God of Mischief bad side, or are we gonna have him more of an anti-hero? Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next one.